molding and extrusion. Though extrusion, I loved extrusion, but extrusion with pipe or film or something, and you're stuck for your life doing that. I get bored very easily, so I never wanted to take extrusion. So I decided foams. Foams was my second love, even though we had, when I was at the institute, after institute hours, I'd go to the library and make notes on my own on cellular polymers.
Oh.
I didn't know I'd get into urethanes or thermocol or whatever. Cellular polymers are thermocol, whole lot of things, polyurethane foams, silicon foams, melamine foams, all these things come, polyethylene foams, and I tried one after the other. Thermocol was with KKNAG, and it was being done under a license by BASF. BASF had global license for that, and KKNAG he was a director on BASF, Nag, and later he pulled off and decided to do thermocol for Pune, Bombay region and all. So they said you can give you Lonavala and something. And I being the only son, mom didn't want me to go out of the city for doing work and all. So I decided against it. Then polyethylene foams was my next love. Polyethylene foams applications were very limited as insulation for electrical wires and all, and that material wasn't available also. So that was
basically PU. Polyurethane means
polyethylene.
Polyethylene.
That's your milk pouches are polyethylene. Buckets are polyethylene.
Okay, that is PE only.
That's PE.
That
polyethylene.
Is PE.
So that was out.
And polyurethane is like the
Then
PU.
PVC foams came. PVC foams were for floats, for fisheries and all.
Correct,
Garware was doing that at Bombay, Thana or somewhere.
Yes.
Garware. And it's a messy process with azobis carbonamide as a blowing agent. It's messy, and that azobis ABFAs was a known carcinogen.
And again, there will be the fumes are coming? Or?
Fumes are there.
Hazardous fumes.
And I didn't want to get into that. So that was how. Then I somehow came across urethane foam. And once I came across it, I got stuck for life. A friend of mine sent me a Diwali card. In that year, he was a trader. A friend. And in that year, written polyurethane foam, did that. And I just inquired with him, what is it polyurethane? He said, "Tum aam mein dikhata hai." So he showed me a small tester there. You just mix and it becomes a foam. I was glued. Then I started researching my notes on polyurethane foam, and I found there's a whole load of this thing on it, possibilities with it. And here there was ICI, which was based in Bombay. ICI, the international company, Imperial Chemical Industries.
Actually, Imperial Chemical. Okay,
they
Imperial
were part
Chemical.
of the Indian Explosives, IEL, part of Indian Explosives Limited, and they were trying to introduce urethane foam into the country, rigid urethane. And there was a gentleman with the name of Roy Fonseca who was ICI, he was in ICI in Bombay, and he was trying to introduce this. So he had gone around the market trying to introduce it to people. This Damani was one of them, and he had left some material with him. So that's how I managed to get that. I brought that material home and I did my first test, and then I said, if it's this easy to do, I've got nothing else, I can do it. No problem. So I got obsessed with this thing, and I started researching, and those times you had to key own letters and all that to companies. So I used to type my own letters, send it, then after a month get a reply from the company. Then you'd get, that's how gathered knowledge. There's no knowledge within the country that way.
So, at that time nothing was there.
So 2-3 years went in just doing that. Then a friend who was an R&D diggy, R.B. Srivastava, he was the head of the Polymer lab there. And somehow we got in touch, Polymer at some institute, we were there in some exhibition, seminar or something. We got chatting, and he said, why don't you come across to the institute? So I went to R&D Diggy, which is part of the DRDO complex here at Diggy. So he called me there, and he showed me work that they do. It was drab at that time. But why? Because nothing was there in foams, in urethane foam, nothing was there. Then sometime down the line, he said, we've got a machine here, why don't you do this thing? I started putting a machine here and doing nothing with what's the point? Because if there's no need, what's the point? You're still early in the market. So then I was trying my attempts in my foam and all. Then I spoke with Roy Fonseca at Bombay. I'd gone to Bombay and met him. And Roy thought, how come I know so much on foams that he also didn't know? Because I was over enthused on the thing. And he thought, at least I know my stuff. Then he said he can arrange for a drum of chemicals each as a gift from this thing. All I have to do is clear it from the Bombay Customs. I said, okay, because they can give me free on board
FOB
to port. The closest port was Bombay. He said, I can get you a drum of chemicals, each polyol and isocyanate. You have to clear it from the port and all, which naturally I had to say yes.
Yes, obviously.
I said yes, and I didn't know what to do because you need an importer-exporter code number, IC, all that nonsense. I went to the chamber of, all that was Janjat Baji for me.
Now it is very easy.
Now it's easy. Then it wasn't.
Then it was
you
like
run pillar to post, you register a provisional register your company with DIC industry, that agricultural college. Then they does, what is this you're making? There is no clear this thing. They didn't have any description of foam anywhere. So they negated my application so many times. You go for IC number, where's your SSI number? You don't have an SSI number. So it became a vicious circle. So I went to the Chamber of Commerce, Maratha Chamber of Commerce, and they guided me. They said you go to meet Mr. Gandhi in that
Customs
they
office.
came in the not customs office at Pune. There was his office. Mr. Gandhi, his brother is the MD of Sudarshan Chemicals here,
Sudarshan Chemicals.
and his brother, and he is representing industry on the board of the committee of excise, customs, and all those things. So he'll guide you or he'll listen. Then he went and told, then he said, you will do one thing. You go to, he guided me to some chap on, not Bati Pongshe, it was some person. Yeah, Gandhi was on the board representing committee, the industrial committee representing industry on the committee of excise, central excise and all that thing. So he go over note and he told, you just tell that person that you met me, spoken to me, and I'd see to the rest. So I went and told him that I said, Gandhi sahab ne bola, up to milke. But aap udhar to kyun gaye? Because he was way up, somewhere. And he said, you in your industry don't need water. In urethanes, you don't need water.
Yes, correct.
You don't have air pollution also. So what's your problem? I said, he doesn't understand it. I can't tell him more things. And that was the time when Union Carbide, that
Union
Bhopal gas
Bhopal
thing was
gas
there.
issue
So
was
isocyanate means you'll need a few lakhs to clear your
Tank
custom from the customs and other. I said, I don't know what happens now. Drum to Beja udhar se. From Belgium we arrange the drum each and let that come. So again then Gandhi, this person from this thing, he said, listen, I represent Kirloskar and all these people. You don't bother, I'll see to it. Where do you want to? I said, at the house. I don't have an industrial estate. So I gave the address. I said, I need it here. He said, you go on so date and you'll come. Because they were in line with the shippers and all that. I showed the papers that ICA gave. So one fine day it came home by truck. I didn't know what. And without giving me any phone or anything like it. So I said, there's more to it. He took it, he is representing Kirloskar, Tata and all of that as a clearing agent for shipments. Which was a godsend because I didn't know how he's going to do. He said, we just go back because he judged my, wherewithal. I don't know head or tail of this thing. So he said, you just go home, when you come, when it comes, it'll come to your home. So we came home, we here only in Koregaon Park. Same place. That 2 drums came, then I went and asked him what turn, and he said, this, leave it. So that was my start. And from there I started fooling around. They gave me a formulation base also, how to formulate the systems, what you add, what you do. I went around the next few days sourcing these additives from the market. Having got all that, I was ready to do things. And I took to it doing so many variations, low density, medium density, high density, everything I could do with that. And side by side there was an inquiry from the R&D, Digi R&D, for the Antarctica base camp, Maitri. They had started that and they wanted an enclosure, dwelling unit for that, plus insulation for the pipe water supply line from the Maitri Lake, which is a frozen lake. 50, 60 feet down there was a motor applying port, and that had to pump water through that 60 feet and to the base camp situated. So that needed to be insulated. So they didn't have anyone. Lloyd's was one who was in that line. Then there was some other company. Pune, there was one Santra who had started. He took the order for the panels because he got the machine that I wanted to. He got the machine and he got going on that. And this, they had nobody to do.
They are also using now this Armacell insulation.
Armacell is useless.
But now that is only approved in
But that is, the trouble is, that Sony property is fire resistant.
Yes,
that
yes.
is all. I make fire resistant foam, which I've not heard of anyone.
That is fire retardant.
This is fire resistant, to jalta hi nahi.
Jalta hi nahi.
You put a blowtorch, which is blue flame, that's only 900,000 degrees centigrade. It doesn't burn. That I use for steamline insulation.
Then why those are not, what you can say,
I put it on my website, but people don't believe it. ये problem होता है. ये problem होता
If
है.
such product is there now, we
Very-
can go and meet the Mada people.
I don't want.
I don't want you to come. I'm just telling them we will go and see the product you are having, so the technology you are having. If because the Mada is coming up with nowadays more than 250 buildings at Worli, Dadar Worli area, and now the Adani is taking care of took over the entire Dharavi.
Yeah, for that project.
So Dharavi will be close to 1,000 buildings. And again for that they will be shifting for them. Rehab will be in Mulund, Bhandup, Thane
All that
area.
area.
That is another 400 to 500 buildings. So every building will need an insulation. You know the cost. I don't want to unnecessarily tell you. But we need to get it approved with MHADA. Basically because MHADA is the only approving authority for all these residential towers and projects. If they get approved, then our name will come into their vendor list.
Okay.
But that product, you know, I cannot go.
See, that is insulation. I'll put that as hot and cold insulation.
Yes, it is insulation.
Hot and cold means minus 100,
Exactly.
minus 80 to maybe 100,
100 plus.
150,
150,
200.
correct.
That's about it. That's about it. I'm talking of up to 1,000.
You are talking about 1,000. That is the
Steam.
huge.
I'm
That
talking
is
of steam.
basically for the
Steam. Polyurethane goes up to 85 degrees centigrade on the plus side. Mine can go up to 500, 600
500,
degrees lifetime guarantee. Which is steam. Steam is 150
Obviously.
degrees typically.
Yes.
And steam there, no, they still use glass wool, mineral wool. World over, they use only
Yes,
glass wool,
it is a
mineral
glass wool
wool,
only.
nothing else.
Rockwool is the.
I'll give you insulation, I'll show you the product. I've done an infrared scan on it, there's zero energy loss.
Sir, you are the biggest customer here, only Thyssen Group and Thermax. Just next
Thermax
to.
didn't believe when I went to give a
Achha,
talk
oh.
on it. Thermax, they felt too much. They said, if you got anything to say anything else other than PU foam, you know everything about PU foam. If you are blocked in your head, you learn nothing.
So they are still using that same.
Someone
The
else will
glass
sit
wool.
and talk to them. They still use glass wool only.
Glass wool only
Glass
is
wool,
used.
mineral wool, that's all they use. But when I went to introduce urethane foam, they said, we know all about urethane foam. If there's anything else you got to introduce, then kya kar raha hai? You
No
don't talk
shit.
at all. You know, they are blocked. When you're blocked in your head, you learn nothing. They have too much of themselves in their head. And that time, Mrs. Aga was in charge of the no, I think her husband was in charge at that time.
That lady, now
His
lady has
wife
to,
came, his
yes,
wife came,
I
and now
think
his daughter is
8
there.
years back she came.
Yeah. At that time, he was there. Mr. Aga was there.
Aga.
And I didn't mind talking to him, but he put his team. Now we go see what is there. So we sat in the conference room, and this is what they spoke. And they said, before starting the talk, also they nip you off. So
Again, the same story.
if they know, hey, what happens is when someone has come to your place, you at least entertain, listen to what they got to say.
Everyone has their own
They
technology.
weren't that way. So, you know, to मुंह खोलने ही नहीं हुआ नहीं उधर.
Oh shit.
So leave it. No harm done. Who lose? They lose, not me.
Obviously.
So that went. Then I got a chance for doing the duct work for water supply for this Raitri base camp.
Oh.
I didn't have a factory. I did it on my terrace, to tell you the truth. My garage at home. I did it there. And Mr. Srivastava, who was the head of the Polymer lab, he had come home because he was also passionate about foams. But he being in a government, this thing, naturally couldn't do anything. But he knew about foams. He knew about foam because he had come across in his own this thing. But he couldn't do anything on his own. But he was happy to be part. When he'd come here, stay with me at night at the house, and we'd work at the night and this thing. And I did all the duct work that was required for the water supply line, and it succeeded. 2 years later, they gave me a certificate saying that if your foam wouldn't be there, our base camp would not have had any water, drinking water, even though ice everywhere. But they wouldn't have had the water supply in their this thing. But it held out through that. And the temperature was minus 60 degrees at that this thing. He said if your foam would not have this thing, we had that thing, so they gave a certificate of approval. I've misplaced that certificate.
Oh.
But after 2 years, which is understandable, because they don't do things right at the start. So anyway, that is the feather in my cap that I liked. I thought a very good start. Then I didn't know what to do in the market. I had only Alpha Label, which was here. Pune based, which were part of the Tetra Pak, this thing
Yes,
is
correct.
a year
Tetra
of
Pak
Sweden.
is there.
And I went and said, you all use so much thermocol, I've got a better material than this polyurethane foam. They just gave what to do, because they were following instructions from Tetra Pak of Europe,
Europe.
Sweden or
Sweden, I
Switzerland
think,
or whatever.
Sweden.
Sweden. So if they tell, then we do. So they gave me a fermenter drawing of them, the brewery fermenters. They said, you see, you do something about this and see. So I prepared, worked on some design and the method of cladding that and introducing rigid PU foam as the insulation rather than thermocol would be as sheets and you put round.
Correct.
Whereas foam would be in situ or put as sheets.
Correct.
So the manufacturing this for that whole fermenter changes. So I didn't have any idea, but I said this is how the sequence would go. Then they said we'll get approval from Tetra Pak Sweden and then give. Oh, approval though, that's just a way of putting me off. Then nothing came from them after that.
So everybody's using the same.
No, I'm saying from that time nobody knew anything of foams. Nothing of foams. So with everyone you got to go and ask, shall I put foam? They don't let you put a new material there without knowing anything. But fortunately, luck was on my side, and whatever inquiries I used to get, I'd still apply my mind, my technology, I had my machines and all. And I'd do it and I'd give that guy a lifetime guarantee. There was a 50-ton cold store that came up in 2002 in Pune at Maratha Chamber, at the Institute of, at the Chamber of Commerce, MIDC, that was at Hadapsar Industrial Estate. So that guy came and asked, I heard you got sheets, you can do foam sheets and this and I said, yeah, I can give foam sheets. He said, I asked for what? He said, for his cold store. I said, I'll do something better than that. Then he said, if my consultant approves it, I don't mind. You know, which means obvious, the consultant should say okay to it. He took me to his consultant for an interview for this. And I told the consultant I'm wanting to use rigid PU foam there. Jamana Badli Gaya. That's the advertisement. Jamana Badli Gaya.
वो जो ad आया
That consultant used to use only thermocol everywhere. All his, on the other side, all his thermocol, all his cold store would sweat. There'd always be condensing, water inside, and people with their helmets and gumboots and raincoats and, aprons and all that work. All his cold stores were sweating. I knew the reason. Thermocol is a culprit. Thermocol is the culprit, was the culprit. And I did my work on the thing of building the insulation envelope for him as a composite. And it's a 50-ton cold store operating at minus 25 degrees centigrade, minus 25 degrees. Ambient is 42 degrees. 42 to minus 25 is nearly 65 delta T.
Delta is the only.
The greater the delta T difference, the more power is consumed in trying to pull the temperature down. To pull the temperature down, you use a lot of power, and to hold it there is another power. You need to have. So the cold stove pulls the temperature down, and because of my material, it holds the temperature there.
Oh.
I did an infrared scan. Infrared is a thermal image. Thermal image. I did thermal imaging for that. Testo is a German company which has its head office in Pune. I spoke to Vimal Chada, who was that time a salesman. I spoke to him. I want to do a scanning for my cold store. Cold store. I've done just the installation. He came here. Okay, I'll do it. It's an exercise for him also. He did. He came. So to the second year of their having started that cold store, it showed total black body. All 6 surfaces, total black body, which means no energy leak, no ingress, no loss of temperature also. And the thing was, it showed its results. For minus 20, minus 25, the cold store compressor works nearly 24 hours. चालू ही रहता, बंद होता है, आधा 5 minutes बंद होता है, and then it starts again because it can't hold the temperature. Mine is remained off throughout. Every Thursday they don't have power supply. That's by design. Every doesn't
there is
get
issue
power.
mostly and all these
So
MIDCs.
that they don't get power every Thursday. Still they never use generator. So mine's a cold store, 50-ton cold store, running without a generator. It's 100 tons of produce, double the quantity of produce, and working only 4 to 5 hours a day. The compressor working only 4 to 5 hours a day. So no fossil fuel, no generator use, no maintenance.
No operational cost.
No operational costs and all, and only profit all along. And we did it, and then I think till date also it's running the same way. No change at all.
It is only one-time investment.
One-time investment, and it's no exorbitant rate. I did it myself. You see somewhere, I told him I'm giving you a lifetime guarantee on my work, what I've done, my installation. When civil work he had done, and he wanted insulation done. So rather than sheets, I did my composite foam insulation, all the 6 surfaces. And I told him I'm giving a lifetime guarantee on my work that's done. He said, इसमें लोग 2-3 महीना का भी guarantee नहीं देते. I said, I don't. This is my first large step. It's not I've been doing cold stores only. This is the first cold store I've done of this size. I'm giving you a guarantee on my work. That's all. There's no sweat, no sweat build up, no ice build up. It's totally dry. When you do a thermal scan, it detects moisture also within the thing. Zero moisture, this thing. And running without a generator.
In all these big power plants, you can.
But imagine how much they can save.
I went to OPG Power in Chennai, Gumudi. So they are using like, because they are, you are telling 50 tons, they have 5,000 tons.
They're massive.
Because it is in acres. They are putting the coal and.
I can understand.
What kind of operational cost they are using?
I can understand.
It is only one-time investment. If sir is giving,
Yes,
they can save for their
lifetime guarantee or a lifetime guarantee.
If they save for 5 years also, I think the cost will be like anything.
Now I'm talking. Okay, this is one instance. This is refrigeration. Refrigeration is intense. Talk of air conditioning. Air conditioning is okay. Ambient maybe 40, 35, whatever. It'll pull the temperature down to 24, 20, this or something like that. A few degrees it'll pull down. That is air conditioning. That's all. You don't need much of, you're not freezing or anything like that. So air conditioning, there's my co-brother's theatre at Bangalore, Malleshwaram.
Okay.
There were 4 other theatres doing preview theatres, which means before the movie is released, the industry uses their set-up facility to show the board to the censor, the movie to the censors and all. Then they edit, cut and what, then make it ready for launching in the market. So this was the 5th facility coming up. He set up a 85-seater theatre in Malleshwaram. Are you familiar with Bangalore?
Bangalore.
Malleshwaram is like what Rasapet is to Pune. You know what Rasapet is in Pune? It's like that, congested and this thing, and in that he built his theatre, his office, Arjunats or so. And that theatre was designed to be an 85-seater auditorium, meant for 85-seater, and as a preview theatre. Then he asked me what can be done for this thing. He said 20 tons or something is what the consultant has told them. 4 consultants said less than 20 tons you can't pull the space. I said okay, you just get it down to 8 tons. 20 tons, 8 tons, get it to 8 tons. A ballpark figure. I just said get it down to 8 tons. If you need more, you can always add. If you need less, you can minus. So 8 tons was the starting point. So 8 tons, and I did my work. I do some N-lock sheets which are fire resistant, foam sheets, meant as insulation, cladding, internal or external. These are did as internal, within the room, within a structure to put internal, so that the environment within that space can be maintained. So these are applied on his theatre wall. Normally a theatre has 12-inch walls, because of the auditorium effect, wood wool and all that other stuff. This came to only 9-inch. So they saved that saving of that much thickness allowed them to put 15 more seats. So it became a full 100-seater auditorium, which means capacity went up. And that 100-seater auditorium, take a wild guess of mechanical engineering. Take a wild guess in a 3-hour show, how long does it take that the ACs run?
AC runs approximately, they will cost 8 to 10,000 rupees.
No, not the cost of the AC. How long is the run time for the ACs? 8 tons.
8 tons is continuously it will run, sir. Maybe for few minutes it will go off, sir.
15 minutes.
Only 15 minutes.
In a 3-hour show, only 15 minutes.
Because of your.
So capacity went up to 100 seats. The auditorium capacity went up to 100 seats.
Like
AC consumption is next to nothing.
It is
3 shows with 45 minutes a day.
Nothing.
And a lifetime guarantee. AC का अभी तक breakdown भी हुआ नहीं. So see how much of tonnage is being saved, which means not squandered. These are mind-boggling. This and a lifetime guarantee on the product, done in 2003 or thereabout. So these are just 2 instances. I've done shipper boxes. I'll show you that. Now I'll come on to what all we started with. So the Alpha Laval was a no-go. It didn't proceed there. Then I got a few. There was a company in Bombay called Aegis Chemicals, which was to start making dry ice in India.
That is Aegis. Now the Aegis Logistics has came up. That is the same one.
Maybe I don't know. AEGIS,
Okay.
but it was Aegis Chemicals,
That is chemicals.
and they were 1 minute. I'll tell the guy to get some.